So I got a little bit carried away. Just put it all in as one piece because it's a pretty big setup to fit in this engine bay. Ready to rip. No traction on this floor.
No. Not with the shoes we got on. His boots, baby.
Too small? Or is it too tall?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, had oil on it.
Yeah.
That's clear.
Got
Silver? Moisture.
What's it smell like? Gas?
Yeah. Yeah, we're loading. We're around a bunch of scrap.
Or drop something in something.
There'll be an O-ring, so we kind of drop it down a little bit and spin it.
I think maybe an oil that comes out.
Probably. Yep, then just rock it back and forth a little bit, pull down. Yep. O-ring stayed up inside.
Wish they would have never took Valspar out of Fremont. I used to get casing, the brake parts clean, engine degrees, everything I wanted. By the cases. The world, I wish I could get it. Maybe somebody that worked for a shop could get it. Sent to them. I got only a little bit left.
So I got a little bit carried away off camera and went to work on the motor and the transmission, bolted it together. I finally had some bolts come in, new torque converter bolts and flex plate bolts. The guy I bought the engine from and transmission didn't give me anything, so I had to order the transmission to the engine bolts and everything like that. I'm gonna show you what I did and some other things that I did and maybe some things that I did before that and maybe some things after I did that. So look at these things that I did.
Oh, let's see the things you did.
All right. So first things I did was bolted. You see these new bolts here. Those are the bolts that came in to mount the 4L80E transmission to the LS block. We did see too that these are the 317 heads. That number there. Supposedly that's the good number. We got the F body oil pan bolted on with the oil pump sump. You actually had to take the splash guard off and cut it so that way the oil sump would actually mount up into the pickup tube and stuff. So next thing I did is got the ICT engine mount bolted up with the original, I think these are called clamshell mounts. So like the short block Chevy 3500 that was in here, 350 that was in here, you just use those. I did have to cut like some of the tabs off so that way they'd fit flush on there. But we got that finished up on both sides. We bolted up the torque converter to the flex plate. I had to order new bolts for those too. The flex plate as well as the torque converter bolts. You can see those shiny new bolts right there. Got all those torqued down to spec. I just ordered some stainless steel headers, long tube headers, so they're gonna like come off from here, bend down, and then come probably back to about here. The GTO headers I got from, or manifolds I got from Brandon Tinkham. Nothing that it was his fault or anything. We were just kind of testing them out, see if they would fit, and they didn't really seem to fit. Oh man, look what bad news I just found right there. Broke off exhaust manifold bolt.
Dang.
That's fun. Okay, so.
Well, I'll add that to the list.
Right, add it to the list. The nice thick metal gaskets and everything, so it's gonna be pretty top dog there. Real thick spark plug wires. It was just an option, so I threw it in the cart. But anyways, on the website for those headers, it said that you would have to shave off the ears of the transmission. So on both sides, I had to cut it right there. I don't know if it's enough. It looks like it would be enough, but like I said, you gotta wait for those to come in to really check. And then over here on the other side, right here, that one's shaved down pretty good. So I think that one will be all right. But I'm still gonna wait for the headers to come in so I can bolt those on. Just put it all in as one piece because it's a pretty big setup to fit in this engine bay. With the ICT truck 5.3 accessories kit and the cast iron block that we have here, I had to drill a hole right here. Right there, you can see that hole, and I had to tap it, thread it for this alternator bracket. So that mounts in there like that with the alternator. And the reason why they do that in these F bodies is because when the alternator is all the way up here, it's for hood clearance. It will end up hitting. And that went real well. I mounted it up already once and everything's good to go. Actually, a few times I've had this engine in and out of the car, just making sure everything's like properly placed, because with these engine mounts down here, they're like, there's several different settings that you could have them, and I actually had it too far forward. The oil pan could have been closer to my cross member down below, so we moved that forward. So now my oil pan's perfectly like millimeters away from my cross member, and it's perfect.
Dang.
A box of goodies. This is the stock ECU that came with the LS swap, but I had my buddy Jack Kober, JK Performance Tuning, I believe is what he goes by. He's here out of Michigan, West Michigan, LS motors. He actually went through and deleted the second O2 sensor, deleted a bunch of other stuff in there, the security and everything, so this car will actually start and run. And then once we get the car nice and running with all the stock stuff, he's gonna come in here and tune the ECU to make it a little bit performanced out, I guess is what you call it. I don't know if there's anything wrong with this one, but just while we're out and everything, we're gonna do the cam sensor. So I got a new one of those. We got crank position sensor too. This oil pan didn't come with a low oil sensor, and the old one had a piece of, actually a broken piece in the bottom of the oil pan, so we got a new one of those. Oil filter. This oil pan said that they needed some special oil filter. One O2 sensor. We got another one coming on the way. A bell tensioner pulley, because this one right here, that one's a little shot, so just to replace it for future stuff. We got some iridium spark plugs. We need another 4 of these. That's just what they had in stock, so we got them while we could. So then I went with a 2005 Pontiac GTO water pump, and that's because this outlet right here, it comes straight out of the pump, and the truck one actually comes like up towards the hood. I wanted to do that just for like the hood clearance and make it look like a little bit cleaner. But with that, I actually mounted it up to the block here, and the pulley was like almost an inch out of line with the crank and the power steering and everything. So my buddy Brandon Tinkham and I kind of did some research, and we found this online. This is actually a water pump spacer kit for this exact setup. So it's 0.7 inch spacer for the water pump for a GTO for a truck one. And if it was my opinion on a guess on why someone would do that, it's for the same exact reason that we're doing it, and that's for swaps for this part of the water pump. like the inlet or outlet, whatever it ends up being. After that, what we got here is supposed to be basically a plug and play harness for this entire swap, which it definitely looks like it is, so that's cool. Some instructions down in there. This is like the one thing I'm not good at is wiring, so if you pass this job on to somebody else or something, that will be getting done one day. So I have a 3-inch cowl hood for that, fiberglass one. And I got it for hood clearance because I was told with the LS1 or whatever intake I have, it's gonna be too tall. The truck ones are too tall to fit under the hood, the stock hood of the 3rd generation Camaros. But I think with the cowl, I think it's gonna clear. So I'm not gonna worry about that too much. And if I do have to do something, I'll probably do like an LSX intake. So that way it flows a little bit better. Pick these up too, just some new header bolts because I didn't get any bolts at all with this engine and transmission. So, but at least I know that everything will be nice and good, solid, ready to rip. The ICT truck LS relocation kit or whatever you want to call it did come with a power steering bracket too. That was pretty simple to do, but everything besides that, all I need now is to somehow fab up a transmission cross member there so that way it holds it up in the trans. We got new power steering lines to bolt up to the car. Got the whole engine bay pretty much cleaned out. That'll be ready to go.
Got the tunnel cleared out.
Yep.
Transmission tunnel.
Yep. It did have like a big brace that went from the differential all the way up front. I think that's just to help the axle stay straight in the rear for like all the torque. But unfortunately that got in the way because this transmission is so much larger. So I had to remove that. When I had the engine put in, actually last time I tried to mount the transmission up from the bottom. And I've never really been a fan of doing it that way, but I gave it a shot. And doing this all by yourself, balancing it on the jack it's not very fun. So took it back out, mounted it all together the easy way, and then we'll just stuff it in like that as one piece. Right now we're waiting on the headers just to make sure everything clears, the transmission and everything. The new engine harness is all ready for a 4L80 transmission, cable driven 3rd gen Camaro. So hopefully it's easy as swap and go, swap and play.
Hopefully.
Then all the new parts, this thing should just fire right up. Oh, I do have to get a new starter too because I noticed.
And wasn't a fuel filter too?
Yeah.
No, that.
Take a look at that starter. It's broken there and there.
Wow.
No idea why, but whatever. Just like 6 feet of transmission line that they had ran through the frame.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah. Everything besides the transmission cross member I think is here and ready to go. I do have an intake manifold kit or a gasket kit on the way. I want to do an upgraded radiator, like a dual core aluminum one. And I would like to find one that has the inlet and outlet both on the one side, so that way it's pretty clean, thicker radiator hoses, you know, off the water pump to stay on one side rather than like squiggling down and around to the other side. But that's as far as we've gotten so far with our LS swap into the 3rd gen Camaro. I've seen these are starting to get a lot more popular, and I just want to make sure I do mine correctly the first way, the correct way, so that way it's like not cutting any corners or doing anything that's going to be sketchy or whatever. So, and I think this is going to lead to like some other 6.0 swaps or just LS swaps in general. Find some other cool cars to do it. This one I left automatic, but I really want to do a manual 6.0, or not even 6.0, just LS swap. I think that'd be really cool. The next episode will be, I'm gonna put everything all together on the front and get every accessories and all that stuff ready to go, swap all the sensors out, and have it ready to be dropped in once these headers show up. Keep watching the videos. LFDF TV.